Okay,
Yay.
there's the go button. Hey, hey, hey. Third Eye Salon. Oh, and Miss Linda, could you switch us to the view of the
Yes, I
speaker?
can. Hi, everyone.
Hello, everybody. You can see us all four at the same time. Um,
Yeah.
so let's just plunge right in for heaven's sakes. So this is Third Eye Salon. Welcome, everybody. If it's your first time, if you are a regular, one of our tribes people, we are so happy you're here. And on Third Eye Salon, we take a fresh look between the veils of reality and today we are taking a fresh look of what it means to be psychic, empathic, and being a business coach. What is it like to be Lynda Colter Bergh? She's going to guide us through her journey to wisdom, her personal, very real, and very poignant journey to wisdom. So let's go ahead and have a look-see-poo and see who is in the salon today. OMG, Araku, is that you, Michele Amburgey? How are ya?
That's the official Araku call.
What? Do it again. I heard.
For any of you who are, aspiring Arakus, that's the first step of Arakuness.
Oh, Michele, thank you for being here with us. Thank you for bringing your love, your laughter, and your humor. We're always happy when you're on the show with us.
Thank you.
And we have Jillian, ETOBE, and Spirit Experiencer. Jillian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I have been looking forward to hearing Lynda's stories all week. I've gotten to know her a little bit over the months, and every time she unravels a bit of her life, it's just mind-blowing. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Thank you,
Yeah.
Jillian. And of course, Lynda Colter Bergh, usually our co-host here, but today she is the guest, so we get to do a deep dive into her journey and just kind of get to listen to her heart as it beats out those rhythms of love. How are you doing today, Lynda?
I am back, and I have a lot of that a lot to thank all of you for that recovery. Michele, my gosh, the prayers you did for me were amazing, and I know helped. And all of the light and love that was sent to me from our audience, I could feel it. So I'm so excited because, yeah, I don't think the doctors are going to find anything when I go back. So I am so excited. Yeah. So I'm really excited to be here because I think that we all are on this journey together. And if we can make it a little bit easier for someone who is coming along, gosh, I wish I had seen a show talking about this journey, moving from 3D to 5D consciousness, or however you want to phrase that, because we all have different phrasing even for that term, but just exploring who you truly are.
Yeah, and giving you permission to do it, giving you permission, the confidence, the affirmation that you are enough, and huge, huge. So thank you, Linda. We are so happy that you are feeling better. Whew, that was its own journey. Wow, that was a journey to pain and hell and back. So we're so happy that you're doing better today. And I am Kat Udero, empath, entrepreneur, and psychic wrangler. And so normally Linda's on chats, but guess what? I'll be taking over chats today. And Miss Michele is going to be the one leading the interview. So that is fun. So you'll be seeing me on the chats. And just so you know, we do have a little policy here on the chat room, so that if somebody pops in and they're like, "Oh, everything you're saying is wrong," or they're either just trying to pull the energy away from the conversation, they're being negative, they're being showing up in a way that isn't inviting conversation, where they're trying to dominate. Like, those things aren't going to fly here. So I will be addressing those if that happens in the chat room. But hopefully we'll have a nice, lovely flow. And we always want to remind you that down in the description box below, we have got plenty of links. So you are welcome to join us on Facebook. We've got Michele's links there. She has a group on Facebook as well. You're welcome to purchase a virtual coffee. If you appreciate what we're doing, you feel a little gratitude, you want to sprinkle some love on us, feel free to do that. We've got a link there for that. And yeah, we always encourage people to, if you're enjoying the video, to give it a like, to give it a thumbs up. If you're down for a journey of wisdom with Lynda today and you want to hear about how to go from 3D to 5D while moving in grace, give us a thumbs up. And we ask you to subscribe if you haven't already subscribed, and hit the notification bell so you know when we go live, because it's not always on time. It usually is, but not always. So before we go into the talk, and I pass the mic over to Miss Michele, I'm going to give you a little background with Lynda's bio. So let's do that. Born remembering how she died, murdered at gunpoint, Lynda Colter Bergh has always been different, or at least that was the story according to her family. This marked separation was a wound she carried with her throughout her life. Fearing shadow people as a 4-year-old child, Lynda was taught how to banish them from her home by a Gandalf-like guide who responded to her cry for help. Yet as she grew up, Lynda hid in her own shadows, afraid there was something wrong with her. When little Lynda told her mother about her ghost friend or how she saw herself while floating above her own body, she was scolded and admonished to stop talking about these things. Otherwise, people would think she was crazy. So she hid. She hid herself so far away that it took her decades to find herself again. This loss of self accumulated in her heart until it literally stopped beating, sending her to the place between worlds, or as she likes to call it, the waiting room. Years later, stepping out of the shadows and into the power of her natural gifts, Lynda now coaches people who are awakening to their higher purpose. Using a unique balance of psychic abilities and practical business and life coaching skills, she supports others in claiming their own divine path. However, discovering how to do this for herself came first. This meant being brave enough to admit that she was psychic, a medium, and a very practical woman with gifts she could no longer explain. A huge turning point was when Lynda really realized that being psychic is our natural state. She knew that in order to be truly in alignment with her purpose, she had to not only come out of the psychic closet, but burn that closet down by sharing her story on the public podcast, Third Eye Salon. This leap of liberation empowered Lynda to step into her mission, which is helping others to find theirs and embrace that mission with full joy, full fulfillment, and live that mission to their fullest. So thank you, everyone, for being here with us today. And thank you, Lynda. I will now give that mic to Miss Michele, and you can lead us on into this conversation.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having me back here. I got up this morning and I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm like feeling like I'm a regular. I'm waiting for my paycheck, man.
That's awesome. You kind of are a regular.
I'm like, oh my gosh. It was funny this morning. I have to share with you guys. I was a little bit late coming in. I have a new kitty cat, and it's a scary kitty cat because it had me trapped in my bathroom with all of its toys, and I couldn't get out of the bathroom. And so poor cat is like, where are you? Where are you? And I'm thinking, I'm like sending you beams, third eye beams, like going, I'm coming, I'm coming. So again, thank you for your patience, and thank you everybody for, allowing me to come back. This is so cool. Jillian and Lynda, you both are so awesome to make room for me on this wonderful show. So thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks. Lynda, we had a wonderful talk the other day. It was such a pleasure getting to know you and to just be able to get into your space and share that energy with you. You are truly an amazing woman. And what's really cool is I want to start this whole thing off with a big ass bang. And please, 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 would you share with us this experience of being born, remembering how you died in your past life? When you said that to me, it was like, whoa. Would you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that is amazing. I can't even imagine what that's like. I can't even imagine. Would you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. I literally was born remembering being shot in the back of the head, the nape of my neck. And I remembered it through a dream that recurred every night. And the dream was me getting on a bus, me sitting in the front seat of the bus across from the driver with a little girl. I was in my 20s, early 20s. And a couple of stops later, a man gets on the bus behind me, sits in the seat behind me, and he starts playing with my hair. And to this day, I can't deal with anyone playing with my hair, but he would wind the ringlets around his finger. And I didn't have ringlets like I do now, but I did have, kind of a Marlo Thomasy hairdo, kind of late 50s, early 60s hairdo. And after a while, I started getting really uncomfortable because I realized my stop was going to be in a very dark place. And so I was trying to get the girl that was next to me, and this is all just non-emotional, I'm just watching it, trying to get her things together to get off early, because the stop before that actually had lights. It was a building that had lights, people, and I thought, I don't know how I'm going to get the rest of the way, but at least I won't be alone. And as I was trying to gather her, and she was having problems not understanding why we were getting off early, I was shh, and I feel this round cylinder, this round cold thing on the nape of my neck. And I just freeze. And my thought is, what's that? What's that? What's that? And on the third, what's that? I hear a loud noise. And I have heat and red go to my head and down to my feet. And as quickly, blackness takes me over and the dream ends. And I would have that every single night. And for me, there was no emotion attached to it. It was like watching a broken record every single night. And my mom told me I used to wrap my head, all but my nose, in blankets. And I remember doing it because I remember thinking, if my head is safe, I'm safe.
Wow.
And I didn't put the two together ever. Not until I started approaching that age. As I got older, the dream would happen less, but it would become more visceral in my body. And as that gunshot hit, my body would cease to exist. Like it would stop, I would stop breathing and my heart would stop.
Literally, physically?
Literally, physically. The closer I got to the age that I think I was in my previous life, the more it would happen. And when I moved, and this was by then we had moved to California, and I was working in a business and was the manager, and I had this amazing employee that I didn't understand. You know, you get around those people and they just beam this light, like they're this earth angel, and they beam this light, and no matter when she showed up, we had the best sales day ever. So I didn't even care if she showed up late every single day. And one day she was waiting for me when I came in. And, it's like, not that I'm complaining, but what are you doing here? And it was the night that I had really not sure I was coming back. I had such a hard time getting my heart to start again, getting my fingers to move, getting anything to happen, that I really started wondering if I was going to come back. And it scared me. For the first time, it really scared me. And she looked at me and she says, you had that dream again, didn't you? And I was just startled because I hadn't told anybody about the dream. And I said, well, what dream would that be? And she goes, the one where you died. Wow. And at that point, like I could just feel my heart just sink to the floor. Like, what the F? I dropped my briefcase because, I was little Miss Pristine and I had a briefcase at that time. And I dropped it. And she said, close the door and lock it. We need to talk. And I obeyed and I walked over and I talked with her. And she explained to me that She saw the dream. She didn't understand why she was there, but she was a psychic. And it was the first time I ever had anyone tell me they were a psychic. She said, I was led to work here and I didn't understand why till I saw your dream. And she said, you have to decide that you're going to release that former life, that anger and that rage, or next time you're not going to come back because he's here. He's very close to you and you came here for vengeance.
Whoa, I just got chills up and down.
I did
Continue.
too.
Oh my gosh.
And she said, you're not meant to do that. You're angry. You're angry because he murdered you in front of your daughter.
Wow.
That wasn't the agreement. And
Oh.
you went up. She says, here's how it works in a nutshell. You go up, you deprogram, you experience your life, good, bad, all of that. You go up, you get deprogrammed, you learn your lessons, and you decide when you want to come back down. You basically gave everybody the middle finger and jumped back into another body and came down and was born again before you were supposed to. So you didn't deprogram, you didn't forget. You came here for vengeance. And that can't happen. And the next time you do this, you are going to die. The next time you have that dream, you will die. And oh, by the way, it's tonight.
Whoa.
So you have to decide whether you're going to let it go or not. You have to let go of the past. And how do you do that? How do you let go of the past?
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Now.
Let me ask you something, because knowing you, you're not a vengeful person. You do not at all come across as someone with an agenda, with vengeance, with anger. So obviously you were able to handle that. But when you were younger and having this, did you feel like there was a revenge? There was something that you had to take care of? How was that working in you?
I had no consciousness of him. I had no, but there was a theme in my body for a long time past that, even, that I had to work through, of having to battle against something. I always had to battle it against, and any type of someone trying to control. I fought really, really hard, whether it was work, relationship, anything. And I was really kind of out of control with my emotions. And I really struggled with managing my own emotions because I was a good girl. I grew up being a good girl. I grew up, all of this stuff, everything she did, everything that we talked about, I'd had instances since I was a child, but I had denied all of that. Yeah. This was my first in my face, life is not what you think it is moment, where as an adult, I was confronted with it.
Wow.
And so she told me to go home, get angry. And so I went home. You know, I blindly don't even remember driving back home. No one was home. And I stood around going, gosh, I'm angry. Wow, this is stupid. I'm really angry. I'm so angry. I'm angry, you know, and I did that for about 10 minutes and then something switched and I turned into this vengeful, raging lunatic that broke dishes and ripped towels and stabbed pillows. I mean, it was a good thing no one was home. And it's a good thing probably all our neighbors weren't home because they would have called the cops. And I ended in this puddle on the floor, just this absolute puddle on the floor, like I had exhausted all that rage. And I've never had the dream since.
Wow.
And shortly thereafter, we moved back from California to Colorado. It's like that phase was done. I let it go and lost my great employee because she was done working for, you know, but it really, for me, it was this, wow, you know, I don't know what's going on in my life. I don't know what this life is. And yet I still at times would still bury that in my life. But it was enough to go, I don't understand. I don't know what I don't know. And I'm curious.
Let me ask you something. When you were young, do you feel like you had like a lot of fear in your life too? Was that fear carried over, or did you come over like really ready to rumble?
No, I was really blessed as a child that I had amazing parents, and lived on 10 acres in, just in, and if you're in our group, you see pictures of me as a child, just basking in abundance. And in that aspect, I couldn't have picked a better body to pop back into, right? But I also had a mom who was very fearful, a mom who was very courageous, but was very fearful. And I'd tell her about the time that I saw myself floating from above. And she would just look at me like there's something wrong with me. And I would tell her that I saw these people along the wall that were moving and that I was afraid for them. And she would, they're just shadows, dear. And it's like, no, I know the difference, Mom. I know the difference.
Yeah.
I told her about the man that showed up in a bright light in my room and helped me, and that they could do this too. And by the time I hit 5, I was going to school, and she said, "Stop it! Stop talking about all this stuff, or people are going to think you're crazy.
Yeah.
You've got to stop it. Kids are going to pick on you. Stop it." And at that point, I shut everything off. The only thing that was consistent was that dang dream. And all the way till my 20s, when that happened. And that was the first time it was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I started having these recalls of all of those instances that didn't make sense in my life. My friend that was a ghost, all of those things. It was like, wow, there's so much I don't understand.
Yeah. That is absolutely amazing. I've been in this field, for 20 plus years, and I have never spoken to somebody who has had an experience like yours, that quick turnaround and everything. And it's interesting because I'm kind of fascinated with that the spiritual realm actually let you do that, because I'm sure that, they've got a couple angels up there that might have been able to stop you, but also apparently we have a little bit of that free will, even when we're outside of this dimension. And you came in. You know what? I want to ask you, and it seemed like I just kind of want to get a timeline right. It seems like your former life, when all that happened, was around the 50s. Did you say?
Yeah, I think that my murder was in the early 60s, and I was born in 1966.
Okay,
So it
so
makes
yeah,
sense that
within that.
that's what happened.
Wow.
By
And
the
then another.
clothing, the bus, everything.
Wow. Yeah, because you can feel it when you have past life recall. It's amazing. It's kind of like you kind of know, it's like, yeah, I know what era it is. I might not know
Mhm.
the exact day and year, but that era. Um, and then I had another question, because this is fascinating to me too, because I was getting chills all over my body when the woman who is the psychic said to you, "He's here." And I'm assuming she meant that he may have come back, or probably was still
He was
here
still
then,
alive. He was an
was
old
still
man.
alive.
He was still alive.
Have you ever ran across him?
No, no, and I'm not meant to.
Okay.
And I'm not meant to run across my daughter. She's still alive too.
Wow.
And it wasn't until Kat actually did another regression meditation with me that the full healing took effect this past year. And that full healing, somewhere in between, I had an epiphany that, no, I didn't agree to be murdered in front of her, but she did. That was hers.
Okay.
And so that was her agreement. It wasn't my agreement, but that was her agreement. And so I could let that piece go. But the last final piece of that was feeling the feelings of the person who murdered me. And I looked at my hands and burst into tears at the blood on my hands.
Wow.
And at that point, I truly forgave him.
That
Yeah.
is absolutely a stunning story. Honey, what courage it has taken for you to do that. Did you ever find out why he killed you?
He had mental illness. He came back from the military. He had a military pack with him, a military sack with him. And he had PTSD.
Wow.
Yeah, before they knew PTSD. Yeah, before they understood what that was, he was a very traumatized man. And he's never forgiven himself. And I hope that through me forgiving him, he has.
Yeah, Archangel Michael just said to me that you have really, really helped him. That cutting the cord, cutting that energy attachment. I actually feel like crying right now because it's like, Lynda, you aren't normal.
Yes, my sisters said that many times. I was odd.
But the courage and the love and the strength that it takes to come back in and continue this journey like this. You know, and I'm going to say again, I've got tears running down my face and I apologize. Archangel Michael is saying that this that you did was part of your spiritual journey and spiritual growth. And to come back in, and he's laughing because he said, yeah, she really did. And just like, and he's showing me like you jumping like on a slide.
That's exactly what she described, was a
Is that,
slide.
yep, just
Like this,
I'm out
back
and
in.
right on in. And he's saying the spiritual growth that you've gone through, and he's saying it at levels that are so minute that we don't even know that they exist. And coming out of a core wound like that was so devastating on so many different levels, and coming back and doing this and going in, is he's calling you a holy rebel. He's saying you are a holy rebel. He goes, it's not often that people send ripples through heaven. And you did. You're like, I'm out, I'm doing this. And all of the heavens went, oh. And you went in and you did it. And he's saying you did it gracefully and you did it with aplomb and you did it. He's using the word discretion too, which is an interesting word. And he's saying good job, and he's actually applauding you. He is standing over here and he's applauding you. He's saying, well done. He said, this wound that you received could have taken you, he's showing me like 10 lifetimes to ever deal, and lifetimes of trial and pain and agony to get this in your face. And you were just like, no. And he's saying, and one of the things that you really intended when you came back so fast is, I'm not taking that veil with me. I'm not taking the veil. I'm keeping the memory. And I think that you had said that earlier too.
Mm-hmm.
So you are held in high regard in the heavens for this act of bravery that you did, because you set a lot of people free from basically karma, basically what's known as karma. So, oh my gosh, Lynda.
It felt very big, and it didn't feel as, at that point where I saw the blood on my hands was the point of true healing for everyone. And with that, it's like, I very much viscerally know that's what happens when we go after our life. That process happens afterwards, and I didn't do it. So I had a choice of doing it next time afterwards or doing it now. and stopping that process, stopping that pain. And it was like a ripple, and it felt like a ripple when I did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Archangel just went, it truly was. He
Mm.
says it is seldom that people take the reins in their own hands and go with it. And it's like it's just the visual he's given me. You took those reins, you jumped on that slide, and you went, and the slide was pink. You took that slide and you were just like, I am doing this. You are a mighty woman. You truly are a mighty woman. This is an honor to get to hear your story. And I hope our viewers and the people that are listening to this realize the amazing woman we call Lynda, who was here before us, because I'm kind of speechless. And we prepared for this, and I still don't know what to say.
Well, I think one of the things I really was, and I know I'm going to tick some people off. I know when there's going to be big pushback on this, but I truly, truly believe we sign up for these lessons. We may not sign up on how, but the intent of what happens when we still have free choice. It was our free choice to come here. It's our free choice that these horrible things happen to us. Like, this is an experiential journey that we're on. But how we deal with those is also our choice.
Right.
And it's, as you and I talked, it's no longer that we're experiencing it. I mean, you pointed out we are transmuting it.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the whole purpose of this time that we all chose to come here too, is that transmutation of all this that has gone before, so that we move into a new era. Now, not only in this part of your life are you like this magnificent heavenly creature, you have a lot of other things that are going on, such as your little ghosty friends.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes kids have ghosts and invisible friends. That's what my parents called mine, invisible friends. And we don't talk about them.
Right. Yeah. I remember putting my hands on my head saying, I have invisible friends. I know the difference. Just with the head bob.
That's authority right there, that head bob. Do you still see ghosts? I mean, is this something that you've experienced your whole life? Is that a childhood thing?
No, I still feel them. And in fact, I hit one once. And this is one of the stories that Jillian loves, is that again, denial is a pretty wide river to cross. And sometimes you have to go back and forth a few times. And also in California, I worked for a furniture company. And we had to walk down I always opened, and it was pitch black in the room that we had to go to turn the lights on. And I hated going that room because there's only one entrance. It was pitch black and it was cold, and I didn't like it. And a couple times in that, when I was working in this furniture factory, I would be up in a balcony that had two staircases that you saw when you're up in the balcony. And the guys would say, did that weird woman find you? It's like, what weird woman? Well, she asked for you. She was wearing a funny dress. I was the only woman that worked there. She's wearing a funny dress. It's like, funny how? And they're like, well, it's all black. And like, she had her hair funny. And it's like, there was no woman. And they're like, yeah, she just went up the stairs. No, there's no woman. So I go look for her. Happened like 3 times. And they find, each time the descriptions would get more, and they'd say she got like a big butt. It's like, that's not nice. And it was like, no, her dress has a big butt. And it's like, a bustle, like the old, so I go and I look at the picture like this, and they're like, yeah, like she came off a parade. So now they're looking all over the place. I'm looking, no woman. I never saw her. But when I would go in that room, it would freeze. And the guys always said, I don't understand. It's not cold when we go in there. But when we're in there with you, it's freezing. And one morning I went to flip on the lights and they were, back to the right, and there were desks all along it. So no one could actually stand there. But a foot from the wall, I felt a thunk and heard the sound of hitting a chest.
Oh, wow.
Felt this chest. And, panic hit because I thought somebody was crouching on the desk to attack me. And so I hit as hard as I could. And when I hit it, I hit the lights and there was no one there.
Wow.
At that point, I left the building,
Screaming.
waited for everyone else to show up and said, ghost, it's the ghost. And they changed their actual policy that no one could work alone after that.
Oh, wow.
And I was told, I didn't verify it, I was told that the place burned down after we left. And so I did find out that there was a depot, a train depot near there that burned to the ground. And I couldn't find any more details about it. But I think that the woman died in the fire.
Yeah, I'm actually getting confirmation on that. Wow.
And yeah, so
That's a powerful friend if she can manifest and precipitate to the degree that she's talking to other people.
Right.
Whoa.
And I never understood why I couldn't see her. But again, I think it's the denial. Like, be normal. People will find out, be normal.
Wow.
And it's shown up in my life so many times. It's shown up when I worked in high tech and I read somebody's mind and I yelled at him for asking the same stupid question for the last 10 minutes and everyone turned around and looked at me and he said, what? And they said, Lynda, he didn't say anything. Yes, he did. He was asking about this, this, and this. And I went, no, he wasn't. And he turned white and he said, no, I didn't. I was thinking it for the last 10 minutes, but I didn't say a word.
Oh.
And everyone was afraid of me. It was like my biggest fear. Everyone was afraid of me.
Yeah, because you have those gifts. It's almost like you could write a book on how to make people think you're crazy.
I could. And I think that was my
honey.
biggest fear all the way through my life was be normal. Don't show this side of you. Don't talk about that. Don't talk that you've seen 2 UFOs. People think you're crazy. Although that one's more acceptable now. That one's just a cool factor, right? But yeah, I mean, I remember Sixth Sense. It's like, I talk to dead people, right? It's like, oh,
And the question is,
like,
do they talk back?
right. Yeah. And then it was like, then the comparison hit. Well, I don't see him that way. So it must just all be in my head. Right. The comparison. Right. I don't see things. I don't see Archangel Michael. So I'm just not gifted. Right. I don't do this. So I'm just not that. I don't go into meditation and see aliens. So I'm just doing it wrong. We're all in this in our own way with our own gifts. I was born with this long history in past lives of being a warrior. I was. And I remember arguing with teachers about strategies and telling them how Napoleon was stupid. And and they just look at me like, what is wrong with you? It was always, what's wrong with you?
Well, and that was another question that I had for you too, is do you remember other past lives? Or was this just this particular one?
I do remember others, and they've come in different ways. One was actually a general with planning out wars, and for 3 weeks, and it was about 3 weeks, I every night had sequential dreams planning these wars, and the burden, the deep, solemn burden that I felt knowing I was sending men to their deaths, but that the greater good was that less people would die. And how could I do this with the least loss? And, you know, it was such a difficult burden to carry. And I remember, you know, during those dreams, I said, I wonder what I look like. And as soon as I did that, I saw these big, burly hands on this old mat. And as soon as I saw those, it was like I was pulled back and just, and the dream was gone. Like I became conscious of it and the dream stopped and it was gone. But I knew that was me planning those wars.
Wow.
I was a healer. I was a healer, a herbalist,
Ooh,
long time ago for a tribe. And I couldn't heal a sickness that came through. And it wiped out the tribe. And I was so shamed, I threw myself off a cliff because I couldn't heal them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do remember some. And I remember some that, you know, and my belief system is that these are all happening concurrently. I remember some that feel very now in a different realm.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. That's very interesting. We'll need to talk on that. That's another show. Kat, sign me up. Because yeah, you know, I did for my doctoral dissertation, what I started out was trying to find out if past lives are sequential, if we pop in and out of different time zones, you know, if we could have one life in 1100s and another life in, you know, 2683, if we're jumping around, or if it is concurrent. And I actually used to do concurrent hypnotherapy or concurrent life. What did I call it? Concurrent life regressions or something like that. Because ultimately, in so many of the teachings is that everything is now. You know, Eckhart Tolle talks about, you know, the eternal now. Everything is now. And then so it is interesting. So that also puts on the plate not only what's in the past, but what is in the future as well. And that we can begin to contact our future selves and have communication with that as well. Have you experienced that with a future self, with actually?
I think that I have, and that it's that concurrent thing. But I look at the society, and I look at, you know, I actually had at one point someone come to me and say he literally in a dream did this square. He said, "This is the door. All you have to do is go through the door, and you're with me again." And he said, "I miss you. You can be here anytime you want and be there. You just have to step through the door." And I was in that and in others, the person that stood behind the person of authority. And he was the person of authority. He was the ruler. And so I was, and then I look at how that's manifested in this life. And I see all of us rulers of our own kingdoms. And my position there is to be that guide that stands behind you in your kingdom that you're creating, and give those nudges, those guidances, never telling you what to do, but showing you the alternatives.
Kind of like a Merlin the magician.
Kind of, yeah. And in one life, I have fireballs that go out my hands. So, you know.
And so Merlin, we call you Merlinda.
Merlinda. I'm Merlinda.
I am Merlinda. Wow, that is fascinating. You know, because it's crazy that we are these eternal beings that have all these experiences. And it's so weird that we pop into this particular plane of existence with no memory of it. It's like, I don't know who made that rule, but we've got to change it because it's not working for us. This coming back over and over and over again. And I recently heard a talk, I think it was on YouTube, about how the human body is supposed to live for like 1,000 years. And my first thought was, man, that would make things a lot easier. We could learn big chunks of what we need to learn and integrate it into our souls before having to flip through into the not remembering thing again.
Yeah. And I see that coming more. Like, I see that this is happening for more people. It's happened for a long time, especially in India. There's a lot of people who have come back and remember, but it's in their culture to have reincarnation. It has not been traditionally in the Western world's culture to accept reincarnation.
Right.
And so that's step one. You have to have that as a possibility in your realm before it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because the Christian traditions kind of cut that part out of the teachings for the last couple thousand years.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And it's interesting. We didn't have we didn't talk about taking a little turn into reincarnation, but I want to ask you a question since we're on the subject. So we're reincarnating, and there's space in between lives, and kind of we choose how long that space is, but there is no space in time, so it's all tick tick tick, but it appears to be. But then what's happening with ghosts? And I'm kind of asking you this as tapping into your doo 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 doo, and just kind of what's coming through. So I'm kind of taking a little bit of a turn. So we've got us that are reincarnating, and but what's going on with the ghosties? Is that another form of reincarnation, coming in and being a part of human life without the body? What do you think about that? Let's go on this tangent for a second.
Okay. So because it's something that I always think about too, because believe it or not, I'm completely analytical. So this is not I say I'm equal, very analytical on one side and very spiritual, emotional, intuitive on the other. And the analytical part of me tries to figure this out, right? But when I hear it, when I auditorily hear it, and when I see holograms.
Mm-hmm.
That we are holograms here, that we hold the whole in a hologram. The thing about a hologram is every facet contains the whole image.
Right.
We're a facet. And what I think ghosts are echoes of ourselves in all of those lives.
Ooh.
And so they're an energetic manifestation of that echo of us that is still us. It's just another facet of us. And that can be here, it can be there, but we have all those incarnations, because it's always like, well, so if I'm here all these times, who am I when I go back? Who am I? Am I still popping around in all of these different incarnations as ghosts? And I think that's a choice to come back down as that image, that echo, and then go back up to the true self. And that we're doing that all simultaneously.
Wow. So we can, this is making my brain go, ba, 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 ba. So I can go back to, so I have a past life as Mary Queen of Scots. That's my one like famousy thing, like, I had a little famous thing. And so I could, even though my soul, my spirit is in this form right now, there's still an echo of me that could go back and haunt that dude that cut my head off. And so this opens up a lot of really fun possibilities here.
It does. And it also, for me, it kind of explains the way, because when I think about this, and if we're all holograms and we all are part of the whole, then multiple people can be Mary Queen of Scots, because we are all one.
Right.
Right? There's like, that's the big, you can't have reincarnation because all these people think that they're Cleopatra, right? I never once thought I was somebody famous. Like, I was never that person in any of my previous lives.
Right.
And that is an uncomfortable place for me to be because I've always been behind the person. And someone asked when I really realized that that was kind of my mission. And it's really come in the last, it's been growing since my 20s, but it really hasn't come into fruition until the last 5 years of knowing that that was my mission. Everyone has a mission in life. Mine's to help you fulfill yours.
Wow.
That's it.
Right.
That's it.
That's wonderful that you're so clear on that too. Yeah. That's so cool. Thank you for letting us kind of take that. I think that that's really a fascinating, excuse me, thing to think of, is being that eternal soul. You know, we're way more powerful than we think we are.
We are. And that's the thing. We just don't,
Excuse me.
don't know. Like, even with that, it's like there's so much I don't have in that knowledge.
Yeah.
Like we
It's like,
think we
it's
do.
sometimes it's like we have an idea of what that is, but oftentimes it's so much bigger than we think. So, you know, it was interesting because there was something else that we talked about.
While you're thinking, Kat or Jillian, did you have anything this time?
I'm just basking in this whole story. Like, this is amazing.
She's fascinating.
I mean, I am fascinated. I feel like I'm a viewer today, just sitting here, like mind blown, probably like everyone else watching. I mean, I've heard snippets of Lynda's stories just over the past few months, but especially the one where she hit the ghost on the chest. That's my favorite. But this past life stuff, like, this is all new to me. So I'm watching it with fresh eyes, same as everyone. And I don't have a whole lot to say because I'm just taking it in.
So
That's
cool.
okay. Planetary beings is all new to me.
Yeah, well, there you go. There we go.
And they're all intermixed. Everybody all working together. The ETs and the what do we call it? The terrestrials and the extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
Kat, did you have any questions, or does anybody have anything in the chat?
They are loving the conversation, and yeah, we've just been talking about, you know, different perspectives on spirits and how it works to be a spirit, if you're a ghost in another time or not. So people are just enjoying this, and they're into it, and it's so great to have you do the talk, Michele, because it is cracking open these stories from different angles. Even though I've heard many of these stories, more details and more, like, there's just another angle that's coming in because you're bringing in your heart and your insight. So it's really facilitating these stories on another level, which is lovely. And just the whole thing of Lynda. Oh, I mean, if anyone's going to send a ripple through heaven, wouldn't it be Lynda Colter Bergh? I mean, somebody who's going to like punch heaven and then peace out. I could see Lynda doing that, you know? So,
oh my gosh.
The good girl rebel. The good girl rebel, right?
The holy rebel.
The holy rebel.
Hashtag holy rebel, and also Merlinda. That's two new names for you now. Merlinda, the holy rebel.
Forget that whole awakener thing. You're the holy rebel. I want to see that on I want to see a website.
Yeah. When you said that, I had it was just this spark of resonance when holy rebel.
Archangel Michael. He comes up with this crazy stuff. I'm like, out my mouth it goes. Oh my God. This is so good. This is so good. And I know kind of going back to your experience with being killed and how angry you were, you know, and that you were able to work through this. And now here you are as a healer. You know, it's fascinating how so often people that have trauma in life or in past lives, you know, a lot of the people that have come through some really trying past lives things and then come into this life, a lot of times, first of all, bring it into their childhood to look at it and deal with it one more time, but they tend to be the most psychic, the most compassionate, and make really the most powerful healers. And this is really fascinating, Lynda, because you are a healer. How do you work with your clients now?
Well, I think one of the things is having gone through a lot. I've gone through, I mean, this past healing opportunity, and I will tell everyone, please stop saying healing crisis.
Yeah.
I had a healing crisis in my 20s, and it was truly a crisis. I lost my immunity. I was incredibly sick, and it took me 8 years to recover from that. So please stop saying it's a crisis and say it's an opportunity, because we have the opportunity to look within, whether it's emotional things we're going through, whether it's physical things we're going through, and see our part in it, and see the message within it. Because the message is, sometimes I still remember someone telling me, I kept telling the universe I wanted change, and they kept saying it was right here. You just had to take the step. And I kept saying, no, do it for me. And they kept saying, no, take the step. And it was like, well, won't you show me the way? No, take the step. And finally, one of her angels, she said she literally felt somebody push her down the flight of stairs, and she broke her back because all she wanted was to rest. She said, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I just want to rest. And there's so many times in our lives that we ask for something. Tell me the scariest one. Tell me the lesson I need to know. Show me the lesson I need to learn. Because baby, you're going to get it in spades, and you don't know how that's going to show up. Right? So
Absolutely.
you can take the fast track, which is generally not that easy. Some people can do it. Some people go into meditation and it pops in, but that was after serious heartache.
Yeah.
Right? Serious transformational heartache for Jillian. And it's that question. I always go back when there's transitions in my life. What did I ask for?
Yeah.
What did I ask for when this started? What was that? And what I do when I work with my clients is to get them in that mode of always being in question, always being in curiosity, and being in observation of what's happening within their body, what's happening in their environment, what's happening in their work, and what part are they playing, and opening up the possibility, opening the door and allowing them to walk through or not. Yeah. But knowing that door is open now.
Yeah.
And we still have to pay the bills. We still have to work that job, because we know that in 3 years we get retirement, right? So we're not being stupid about it.
Right.
And yet some people go, it's not worth it. I'm walking away now. Okay, what's that look like? And so it's helping to figure out what that mission is. Like, a lot of people are just dissatisfied. I don't know what it is, but I know this isn't it. That's where I was when I left IT, when I left corporate world. I don't know what it is, but I know this isn't it. And to be in that place where I know this isn't it, but I don't know what it is a very terrifying place. And if
It's
you're
also
awakening,
a very powerful place,
it's
though.
very powerful.
Yeah.
And especially though, if you're now opening up to new gifts, because that tends to be that blossom opening, then, that butterfly coming out of the cocoon, if you help a butterfly out of the cocoon, it can't fly.
Right.
It doesn't
Has
have
to
the
get
power in its wings. It has to have that struggle to be able to fly, to strengthen its wings.
Yep.
So I never want to take that away, but you have the power to. You have the power to shift that. And so being able to walk with grace for me is having grace with yourself and others in that journey.
Yeah. It's amazing. That's amazing. If anybody is feeling like they're resonating with Lynda's message here, please know that Lynda does work with with people and through this. I'm feeling very strongly, Lynda, that there are some people that are listening who need you, who really need your Merlinda brand of coaching and healing. Because it's important that we find the right people to work with too, right?
But I think I think it's very right. And I'm not always the right person. And we always
Right,
have
sure.
a get to know you to see if I am. And if you're the right client, because I'll tell you, one of my big pet peeves is yabbits.
Yeah.
And you give me enough yabbits and it's like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah, but
I want to.
I'm right. And so because I know what yabbits are, I've said enough of them in my life, right? Cat's heard enough yabbits for me to fill a room.
Oh my gosh.
And with that, though, I think what I offer too is that I have that very logistical, practical mindset, very grounded, very 3D in this world, figuring out how you live in this life. And I think what we're coming into is that pulling that 5D consciousness into our lives here, because as we do that, we're raising that frequency for everyone. So by having people be in their highest selves here on earth, living their joy, being the beauty that they are, that they were born to be, it's rising the tide. It's bringing everyone.
Yeah.
And it's
I
creating
love
that
that.
critical mass.
Yeah. And it is getting into critical mass, and that rising tide lifts all ships. I remember hearing that from a minister years ago, and it was like truth. And that's why I think so many of us that are here with the heart of healers, who are a lot of us just coming out of our lessons and the things we're here to learn, our hair's still smoldering, our clothes are all tattered, but we're still like, da, 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 I am here to help mankind. And the best way that we begin that is by helping ourselves, right? And then moving into letting that spread and ripple out into the world around us. Lynda, you're very psychic. And I hate to use that word sometimes because it kind of feels like it goes small. It's like it seems like such a small word for what this intuition, this gift of being psychic is, because I think a lot of times people think, oh, psychic, oh, we know stuff. But being psychic is a full body, full all fields, mind, body, emotions, spirit, even multidimensionally. Tell us a little bit about your journey into psychic. I mean, I realize that, being born, knowing how you died in your past life is one form of that too.
Right. And I know that gets into that, yeah, but I wasn't born that way. I don't remember that, right? I can hear those going off. But I had so many doubts along the way. Am I really crazy? I mean, I asked that in my life. I don't know how many times. I hear voices. Are those voices because I'm schizophrenic? And so if you are, you are, right? That's another form of being in this life. It's not something that's lesser in any way, right? But I needed to know. I needed to know, what am I hearing? Who am I hearing? Is this coming from me? Is this coming external? And so the only way I could really get this was the first step I took was I went for a year off and on almost every week doing testing with an amazing woman named Jude Stark, who is in Colorado. And we would meet and we would do testing. And we would have things like, here's initials. Have somebody write your initials up, and the next person pick those up, and you tell me about that person. And I would nail it.
Ooh.
And I would, time and time again, I would nail it. And I would have these reconfirmations of my abilities. I just went through it again. I just went through an amazing group that's here on Facebook, and I'll put the information below so that you can find them. But I went through a group for mediumship because I wanted to see, am I really picking this up for my clients? Am I really getting this person that's showing up? I want to know. I'm going to test myself. It was scary as hell.
Yeah.
Because I have this failure complex. Like I have this, I never thought I was a Virgo until this, that I have to be 100% right. I was kicking myself when, the instructor, Jude, said, you don't understand, the best of the best out there are right about 70% of the time.
Yep.
And it's like, just, you tested in the high 90s. And it was like, whoa, well, you must have had some bad tests. That was where my mind went. It's not, right? It's not. I would always find some way to dismiss what was happening because that couldn't be true. I couldn't be that. Right? And so I think we all do that.
Sure.
We all do that.
Sure.
And
well, we're so
we're
programmed
programmed.
that things are a certain way and we're all the same. And we all see and we hear and we feel, and we taste and we smell, and that's all there is. And when other things are outside of those lines, we're also trained to question them. And we're trained and taught that there might be evil. There's a lot of negativity that is put on these experiences we have that are totally natural. They're totally God-given. Being psychic, being intuitive, being clairvoyant, clairaudient, being telepathic, being kinetic, being able to move things. It's all part of who we really are.
Yeah, that's our natural state. That is our state when we're not confined with these vehicles.
Yeah.
And so having these vehicles is a choice we made to feel, it's those senses. I touch, I smell, I taste, I feel emotion. This is all part of it. We've chosen this. And part of walking in grace for me is when, it's easy to love that life when it's going well. To love that life at all times is important. When it's hard, when it's frustrating, to still say thank you.
Yeah.
And to live without, as I will say, as much judgment as possible, because I still judge. That's my theme. I look at themes in life. I look at patterns. My theme is judgment. Judgment of myself, judgment of others. And so each time that happens in my life, I have to step back, and that's part of my journey, is to stop the judgment.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between judgment and discernment. I can disagree with how you're acting towards people in this life. I can disagree with that. And I can even take action and say, no, not on my time.
Right.
When I tell Kat, not on my time, not on my watch, not in my house.
She doesn't say it to
now
me.
My house is
she
world.
says it about something to me. She doesn't say, Kat, not on my
right,
time.
No. I'll take that back. Yes. No, I don't do this with Kat.
That's what I said to my cat this morning.
Right.
Not in my life.
But it's a very powerful thing that I think we are, as we elevate, that's the warrior. That is the spiritual warrior that says, not in my time, not in my house, not in my presence. This is not okay.
Yeah.
And that is all right. I see this, sometimes we go in this pendulum that swings back and forth from the very 3D, I've got to just deal with all of this, to the airy-fairy part. And that feels really good, and we want to stay over there. But the truth is, we come back to this center where we're integrating both. And that's our truest nature right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're in a time of such massive growth on all the levels too, that all the pendulum is the swing is all becoming one too, right? So you have it all, but we're learning to navigate it so much easier and so much more gracefully. It's Lynda, I keep having this too, and it's Archangel Michael popping in, and he's saying, so when is the book coming out? Did you just get busted? Because I've
I
got
think I got
chills
busted because I've
all
been
over
writing
my
off and
body.
on. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because I have on when we were talking earlier this week, I have at the top of the paper, just kind of like your heading is walking in grace. And Archangel Michael is going, wink, wink. He's saying, it's coming. Yeah, he wants you to know that it's coming, that it's going to start coming through. And he's saying, if you're not ready, tell us. We'll hold it for you. But he's saying, get ready, because there is going to be something coming through. And it doesn't mean, it has to be a novel. It could be an ebook, it can be a blog.
Mhm.
But he's saying there's so much wisdom that you bring into this lifetime to share with others. And so get ready, because you're gonna get a little push. You're gonna get
A
a
little
little
push down those
something,
stairs.
something.
Not down the stairs, not down the
No,
stairs.
not
No,
down the
we don't.
stairs.
Cancel, clear,
We're going to be
delete.
a lift up, not a push
Lift,
down.
right, a lift up. Yeah.
A lift up, not a push down.
Yeah, definitely. It's a little nudge towards another part of you that is responding to the world around you and some of the needs. And books and written is such a great way to get that out there too. Also, Archangel Michael wants to bring your attention to the fact that doing this interview and you being here and being seen now is your light's being seen broader. And he's saying, leave it there, okay? He's going, don't suck it back in.
Yeah, that's my tendency, is to put that toe in the water and step back, and put that toe in the water and step back. And who am I to help others if I can't shine the light on them?
Yeah, it's
And
time.
and
That
it's
is
and
so
it's
cool.
you had asked earlier kind of how I help. The other thing that I do is bring in those messages for people.
Yeah.
When I'm working with them, my clients are the ones that actually told me, I like what you do, but it's when you got to talk to people, because sometimes you look through them.
Yeah.
And then you say something that's like life-changing. That's what you need to be doing. And it's like, I didn't know I was doing that. And it was that awareness of coming in. And so now it's like that, like you do. It's like, wait a minute.
hold the presses.
Yep, there's something coming through, and just being able to own that.
Yeah. And that's part of us as divine beings too, is being able to bring through messages. And, sometimes I even feel funny about, like, oh, well, Archangel Michael told me, or, Archangel Michael is saying, because I also have this understanding that Archangel Michael is me. He is
Right.
not separate from me. We're all one. It's me. This is coming from me, but it feels safer to say Archangel Michael said it, right? But it's part of our innate nature to be able to gather wisdom and to share wisdom. And it doesn't have to be our wisdom. And that's
Right.
something that you're so good at too, is sharing wisdom. Wisdom is a voice, and it is spoken through so many of us.
It is.
And
that's
beautiful.
what I see. I see this, and we talked about the grid before. I see this grid as the lights are coming on. And that light is simply us turning our higher light, our higher self. We're that was my Gandalf person was telling me to blow on that ember. Blow on that ember. This is our soul seat. Blow on our ember and let it grow. Let it light. And the more that light shines through, it will push away the darkness. So as each of us are that expression of that light, it is pushing out the darkness.
Mhm.
And picture a grid of all these light workers coming together and pushing out the dark. How beautiful would that be in this world? And that's not saying dark doesn't exist. Dark has a place as well, right? We can't have one without the other, because then it would not be recognizable. But it is this, we all have those places, right? We all have those places within us. We all are light. We all are dark. It is within us innately. But we
And
can
that's the
choose,
third dimension too.
right? We can
Yeah.
choose that the light reigns. We can choose that fear is the darkness. And to step away from that is that 5D. To live in that level of trust.
Yeah.
You know, like with the, yeah, Kat, did you have something?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of sneak around for a second and ask Archangel Michael something about Lynda.
Ooh, do we have Lynda's permission?
Yes.
All right.
She knows I'm not gonna try to get her.
Archangel Michael goes,
Oh, goody.
So what is it about Lynda's telekinetic powers where she's able to set off alarms in her car, melt her computer, things like that, when she gets into a heightened state of emotion and things start to break and fly off around her? What's that about?
he's saying it's from not being grounded, being too much energy up here. He's saying, and bringing it down through the body to the feet and into Mother Earth. And he's saying, Kat, thank you for asking that question. He's saying because people really, really need to be paying attention to that, because everything is speeding up. The Mother Earth is speeding up. The Schumann resonance is speeding up. Everything is speeding up. And it's very easy to begin for our energy to begin to rise because everything's speeding up. And he's saying it's very, very important, especially for those of you who are seers, who are healers, who are working in the spiritual consciously, to ground, because Mother Earth needs that energy grounding into her too, because we're all doing this together. And so he's saying it's not being grounded in the body and down into Mother Earth. And he's saying, and Lynda will admit too, that when she gets like that, it's because she's like all over the place. And he's also showing me that Lynda actually throws energy off when she does something with her hands when she's upset and working, and I want to do this, all of a sudden I'm becoming Italian. And he's saying you throw energy off, and that's why the street light goes out, and it doesn't mean you're and he's laughing about the Gandalf thing. It doesn't mean you're Gandalfing and going, Accelerama, blow the light out us, but he's saying you will throw energy out and it stays in your field. And when it hits something that is responsive to it, that's where you see like the lights go out and weird things like that. So he's saying it really, when you are in that, he's calling it flustered state, being mindful of that and grounding that energy will help that a lot. And he's showing me an electrical device, something that literally melted. What was that?
Well, I've had a couple things. I mean, I had to quit IT working with computers because I would erase the hard drives. I don't kind of a career killer.
It's like career ender.
Had that happen. I do really mess up electronics sometimes. I don't know if anything's ever fried, but I would not be surprised. I think my favorite incident was where it was really cognizant of me. And it's like, oh, you better get your gear. Like, you better calm this stuff down. Carrie, who's a dear friend of mine, has seen this. She used to say I threw fire bolts out my ass. That was long before. long before Braveheart. So,
Oh my God, I love it.
but I went in one time to a doctor's office with my mom who had dementia, and she would not get going to the appointment. And I was becoming so frustrated, and she couldn't verbalize why. She just was digging her heels in, and she wasn't going to go. And I knew we would pay money for that, whether she showed up or not. And it took us 2 months to get her this appointment. So it was like really important to get her there. And lo and behold, our neighbor shows up who was a ranger, not like a power ranger, like a military ranger. And we'd known him since I was
But a Power Ranger would have been awesome.
Power Ranger. He is actually a Power Ranger in disguise. Love him. And she was holding off so that he would show up and take us, because she trusted him at that point more than she trusted me. And she couldn't verbalize that. Yeah. And so by the time we got there, like we slid in under that deadline by a minute, right? And I walk up and the woman, I get up to the counter, totally flustered, and her computer goes black. And it's like, oh, my computer just went black. And it's like, yeah, I know. Just give me the paperwork. It'll come back up. At this point, I knew this is me, right? And she says, no, you don't understand. My computer went down. I do understand. Give me the paperwork. And I argued with her. Give me the frickin' paperwork. I'll walk 3 steps back and it will start again. Just give me the frickin' paperwork. And I was getting really frustrated. And so she finally gave me the paperwork. I walked 3 steps and I hear, oh my God, it came up. Oh my God. And she said it was, and all I could, the more she went on, the angrier I was getting. Like, just shut up. I don't want to stand out. I just want to calm down. I don't want this. And she just wouldn't shut up about it. And so when we went back to the appointment, I knew I'd have to sit as far away from the computers as possible in the room, right? For my mom's examination. But we walked past computers for all of the billing on our way there. And when we came out of the appointment, the woman's going, she did it. Apparently, as I walked past every single one, it shut them down until they had to reboot their entire network.
Whoa.
And all of their billing system. And so she was pointing the finger at me, and our military ranger friend looked over and he said, we could have used you.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, this is, I need to shut that down. I need to start grounding. And that was what I did, was start grounding. And that's definitely changed. And in fact, beautiful client and I now have grounding pads so that when we're sitting at computers, we have grounding, even when we're not outside.
Yeah. Yeah. I have an earthing mat under my computer too, because I am known to flip things. My stuff just turns off, but it doesn't actually fry or anything.
Yeah.
But Archangel Michael is showing you've more than just turned stuff off.
Yes, I have. Okay. Yes, I did. I blew up a TV and a radio. And this feeling when I was, Carrie can attest to that one. Yeah, I actually had, I think it was 2 radios and a TV, or 2 TVs and a radio that went out, but one of them did like sizzle as I walked past it. So yes.
And thank God you're not an egomaniac, because you could be wreaking havoc like as a superhero gone wrong.
You know, I mean, I sit there and I think about that, like, wow, if this kind of stuff is out there for all of us, people could use it for wrong, right? As we all rise, there are going to be people that use this for wrong.
Sure.
There is a lowest common denominator in there that will happen. And it is our duty to, you know, again, not on my time, not on my watch. This is a different realm we're going to be living in.
And they do
be
exist.
Interesting.
They work for the government.
Yeah.
Bing.
Yeah. We could have used somebody like you.
We still can.
Still can.
It's not over. at all. Archangel Michael wanted to speak to that too. Um, um, he goes, I'm gonna lay something on you. He's saying that we have to also remember that the light and the dark is of our own creation. We created this plane of existence through the divine oneness to experience this. But he's also saying we have to understand the light and the dark both are of God.
Yes.
God is creator, the creator. And that as we move into higher and higher realms of consciousness, that the light and the dark do become one.
Yes.
Excuse me. And part of the ascension is understanding that they're one as well. And so it's kind of cool because he's saying when these gifts are used for nefarious reasons. That's his big word lately too. Nefarious. I love it. I'm like, what the heck does
Yeah, I use
nefarious mean?
nefarious a lot.
It's a great word. He's saying it's actually part of the divine plan. And so when we're encountering those politicians who are not using their gifts for good, that's part of the plan too. That's part of helping people to wake up. And he's saying, but it doesn't make it any easier to deal with. It doesn't make it any less shocking, the depths that they will go to. But he's saying he also wants to plant that seed in everybody's little mind to remind yourself when it's looking gnarly that it's
Right.
all part of the divine plan. It's all part of the greater plan for not only just the awakening of humanity, because this is a planet, this is a realm for humanity, as the overlords kind of, but for those seeds to be planted for people to understand is as we rise and the duality begins to move back into oneness, that it's all divine, it's all sacred, it's all holy, everything that we go through. And he wants everybody to know. Well, he's showing me that it's all kind of a game too. And if you don't buy into the matrix, and Lynda, you speak about this really well too. So I'm actually kind of leading you into talking about your idea of this matrix as hologram that you see, that it's all kind of part of a game. And when you step out of the game, you don't have to necessarily play by the rules anymore,
Right.
such as taking the pink slide out of heaven and, giving the finger to God and all the angels. I'm not sure they've gotten over it yet.
I think that I'm glad that you brought in politics, actually, because
It needed to roll in there.
gosh, I actually went to school in college. I was a business major with a double minor in political science and philosophy. And that just within months made me realize that businesses were going to own politicians and all the best philosophy in the world was going to go out the window. And yet I sit there and I think, why was I given this strong desire to be political of all those things? I'm very vocal. And people are like, don't be vocal on your Facebook page. It's a turnoff. It's like, you know what? It depends on what's behind it. And what's behind it is I want us to be better. I want us to do better. I want us as a nation, as a country, as an individual to rise to the occasion, to not just do unto others. When I was 6, I had a marble that my mom gave me that was blue. My mom and dad gave it to me, and it was my most precious marble. And around it, it had the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I held that marble every night. Like, it was precious to me. And then I looked at it one day and I said, that's wrong. That's wrong. Do unto people as they would have them do unto you. 20 years later, I see that somebody's patented that as the platinum rule.
Oh.
And he made lots of money off of do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. By their standards. We're not imposing
Ooh.
ours onto them.
Interesting.
And as in politics, in everything, we've got to look at this and say, I completely disagree with you, and you still have value. I don't agree with what you are saying, but let's talk about it, because there's a reason why you're saying it.
Yeah.
What is that core value that we share? Can we create something that brings to the table your skills and my skills to make that happen? We all want safety. We all want help. We all want a better life for our
Yeah,
children.
the basics.
Those basic skills, but we don't agree on how to get there. Can we come up with something? And in that process, this last, presidency, I have to admit, was really hard on me. And I had to say, I have friends on the other side who are experiencing that now, right? They're sides. We're creating these sides, these barriers to oneness. And it's pulling those together and seeing the person for that God person. And I'll tell you, find that person that hits your buttons the most and look at them as a child of God. Look at them as a part of you, as you. We are one. We either are or we aren't. There isn't an in between. You either believe we are all one, you either believe we all come from the same source, or you don't.
Yeah.
And so for me to sit there and look at someone that pushes my buttons and say, is there a purpose? Is there purpose in what that person is doing? Yes. Is there divine purpose in the things that I find appalling? Yes. I may not understand it.
Right.
I may not understand it. And it doesn't mean I have to agree with it. But I have to recognize that there's purpose.
Yeah.
And part of that is understanding this divide and bringing it together. Eliminate that separateness that we've created.
Yeah. Yeah, because I know, and that and I've shared on this show too about my experience with oneness, and I used to be like, oh, oneness. Well, except for him,
Right.
except for that guy over there who's, robbing people and stuff. But oneness, but not her, because she's bad, and I think a lot of people do that until I was shown that we're all one, and and we're all one together within, not, but it's interesting because it's very, very easy to move into that space. And even after my oneness experience, I still am sometimes like, I don't want to be one with that. It's like, no, that's awful. But we are all together in it, and finding that space, like you're saying, Lynda, where we all can meet. Rumi says, there is a field where there is no right or wrong, no wrongdoing, no right doing. I'll meet you there. Right? Where it's like, there's no right, there's no wrong. There's just an empty space for us to come together. And that's so beautiful. And I think that's happening more and more too, as people are realizing that fighting against things doesn't work.
No.
At all. We have to come together, even in our differences.
Yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And picturing peace and working towards peace instead of anti-war.
Yeah. Mother Teresa, she says, I won't go to an anti-war rally, but invite me to a pro-peace rally, and I'm there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So important that we pay attention where energy is going. Absolutely. Lynda, let me ask you something. Change of direction. Have you had out-of-body experiences?
Yes. Multiple.
Tell us about that for a little bit. We're kind of getting, got a little bit more time left.
My first time was as a child. I went and saw Song of the South. For all those who are younger, you probably can't see Song of the South because it's banned. But
I know.
Song of the South.
Great.
had
Great,
Brer
great.
Rabbit and Brer Fox, and a lot of lessons that, if it were discussed, were actual anti-slavery tales on how to get out of enslavement. But there's a song called Bluebird on My Shoulder, or whatever it's called.
Mr.
Mr.
Bluebird
Bluebird's
on
on
my
my
shoulder.
shoulder. It's the
It's
truth.
the truth.
It's actual. Everything
Everything is
satisfactual.
satisfactual.
Yes. So I, as a child, was out in our backyard singing that, skipping, playing in absolute bliss. I saw this bluebird on my shoulder. I was just high as a kite after that movie. And I remember looking up in the sky, and there was I forgot the name of the clouds, but the ones that are big round that look like UFOs.
Oh, yeah.
And
Lenticular.
yes, and it had a walkway coming from it. So it looked like this. And I looked up and I saw this portal up, this beautiful platform up there. And I thought, I wonder if that's where God watches us. And at the end of that thought, I was looking down at myself.
Ooh.
And I was like, silly girl, there's no bluebird on your shoulder. Wait a minute, that's me. Well, if that's me, then who is this? And I heard this other me say, well, that's you too. Well, if that's me, and that's me, and that's me, how many me's are there, right? It was like that looking in the mirror. And when it got too big for my little brain, I popped back in.
Yeah.
And that was one of the instances I told my mom. So that was the first time it happened. I had one where my husband got 2 earrings that he had in an ear, and he called me up. I was 50 miles away and just in tears that he had lost one of the earrings. I didn't know what had happened at that point. I thought somebody had died, so I pulled off on the side of the road. And, what happened? Tell me. And he told me. And all at once I was standing in the hallway looking in the bathroom from 50 miles away at the mirror in the bathtub door against the toilet. Where the toilet met the rug, I see a flashing gleam. And I said, honey, I know this sounds really weird, but go stand at the door at this approximately right here and look in the mirror of the bathtub. I can see your earring. And so he went in complete, all right, weird. But he went and he got in that exact position, kind of my height, and he could see the earring. And he had taken the shower after I left, so there's no way that earring was there when I left.
Right.
So I sit there and I reevaluate. Could I have seen that before? Because I know that psychologically we can plant, we're aware of so much more around us. That's part of our abilities.
Right.
That had happened after I'd left. And he found his earring. So again, another time where I was physically there. And that's also some of the remote viewing I've done, that it was like,
Yeah.
it's like physically being there.
You know what? I wanted to ask, I want to bring Jillian on this too, because Jillian's a big OBE person. What is the difference between remote viewing and an out-of-body experience? Because I've done remote viewing and it feels like I'm out of my body. It feels like I've gone somewhere else. And this thought just popped into my mind. What is the difference? What is the difference? And Lynda and Jillian, like, what do you guys think?
Well, what I get, like when I do meditations, I get visuals of different things, different places and this and that. And sometimes I will get a visual of another location and I get physical sensations as if I'm physically passing by it or I'm physically going towards or back. For example, there was one where I passed by a ship in outer space and my stomach flipped as if I were on a roller coaster. So I feel like when that's happening, it's hard to distinguish because it's not an OBE in my, no, what's the word? Like, I don't think that that's a typical OBE because I have had them where I'm physically out of my body. Like, I'll be sleeping, I'm out of my body and I'm running around doing things. This is more where I'm seeing another place, I'm having the physical sensations that I'm there, but I'm very much where I am in my body. So I feel like those instances where that happens, it is remote viewing and it is a form of OBE because I am getting the physical sensations, but it's not a full on OBE where I'm leaving my body and going somewhere else. That's what I think out of my own experiences.
Yeah,
Which
I think-
is many.
Yeah.
it's
And like,
many.
it's so
really
hard.
many.
That's why it's so hard to distinguish it because they're literally never the same. Even a full on OBE where I am leaving the body, they're never the same experience.
Yeah.
Same with the meditations. Like those are more typically you have the same kind of experience with those, but it's just such a different realm that I don't normally live in. So to try and explain it, like, I know that's a lot of information, but to put it into words so that it would make sense. Yeah.
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 I
Well,
think for me, for my sanity, like I sit there and think of OBEs and think of remote viewing. Remote viewing, I can see things, I can smell things, I can experience things, but I experience them from here. Even if I'm seen and in that space, I'm seeing it from here. In OBEs, I'm aware that I am here, not here. I'm aware that I am not within my body. I can physically see my body, or I can physically am in a different space, but my consciousness is not here now. Or maybe it is at the same point because I'm still functioning, but the me that is me is not housed here. And that for me is the difference between OBEs. And then when you go into the near-death experiences, it just takes it the next step where you're closer to home.
right.
And when I felt that, it was just that next, I was there, and there was more beautiful and amazing, and words can't describe it compared to being there here. Are we clear?
Yeah, totally. As clear as mud. But yeah, it is. Kat.
Yeah, I wanted to, if Lynda's comfortable talking about this, because, I've worked with, Lynda and I have worked with each other a lot over the years. And one of the things that happened, oh gosh, I can just tune into it right now, is that because we have more than one self, as you ladies have expressed, like you got more than one version of you hanging out. And there was an occasion or two where we were tapping into this other Lynda that was in another world where she really was she really is a sorceress. And I didn't ask permission if I could talk about this, but I'm wondering if Lynda doesn't mind sharing her experiences, because when it's like she's a counselor sorceress of some kind, like she's in charge in some way. It's like a different role than you would have in this world. Do you mind tapping in and sharing what that experience was like for you, Miss Lynda?
Are you talking about when we were in the meditation?
Yeah.
The huge experience that I had?
Yeah.
She actually, that part of me that is me somewhere else, stepped into that healing that Kat was doing. And he was wanting me to meet my higher self, or my other self, my guide. And it's like, oh no, she's already integrated into me. I kept doing everything he was wanting. It was like, oh yeah, she's already done that. She's there. She stepped in, she's taking over, she's doing this. But what she did was that she was part of that instrumental shift in consciousness of seeing the blood, of seeing that person. She was part of that, but she came through and helped me in a healing, in physical healing. And she was showing me, like my leg was lifting. It's like, here, you do this. And my leg was physically lifting, and like she was pulling my leg and pulling it forward and shifting different things. My arms were lifting. And it wasn't me, like I was completely limp, but lifting. And I would report these things to him, like, this is, and there's this me going, this is odd. This is new. And it's like she was teaching me, here, this is what you do. Here's this what you, and it was like, oh, I can call on this piece of me because I've had things happen physically with people. I've had things happen with my hands that I couldn't explain. And, some instantaneous shifts in people's physical being from massaging them for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's like, what the hell just happened? Right? I had no idea that's her. That is this amazing creature that I have to admit is in some realm me.
Yeah.
Separate yet me, that steps in and has that ability. And that was the first time I was really conscious of it, of her stepping into that role.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you encounter that other times?
Of
Or
her stepping in?
yeah.
Her role is really that physical healing. I get very much and since then I felt much more grounded, much more introspective.
Yeah.
Like, get your shit in order, right? With your family, your spouse, like all of these things, get in alignment. This is about you getting in alignment with who you are intended to be. And my whole conversation with those relationships has shifted.
Yeah.
What's my part? What am I playing? What am I doing? Not what am I doing to make that stop? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Who am I?
Yeah.
And so it's just this, she's very stable, very present. And when I put my hands out, I feel her. I feel that radiance within her that steps in.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. And because we are multidimensional, we're beginning to become more and more conscious of that and so many different aspects of us. And it even speaks to, when I was in college, I was majored psychology too. And I loved Jungian psychology, and he works with the archetypes. And in my work with clients, but also with myself, I find a lot of times these other aspects of ourselves that are in other dimensions oftentimes hold these archetypes too. Like you might have the warrior in close to you now, but you still have the hero and the victim and the little girl out there. And as we become more conscious, can't say that word this morning. It feels almost like all that multidimensionality begins to come together. Our fractals begin to work towards oneness, even as we are working towards oneness with the one, the all,
Yes.
the many.
Yes. Yes. I mean, we're all, I mean, you think about the amazingness that is life, and we're made up of, viruses weigh more than us in our bodies. Bacteria weighs more than us, right? It's like when you look at all of the things that weigh more than us, we really don't exist. We are a microbiome moving. And we have our consciousness in this microbiome, in these physical realms where atoms, the same atom that I have, can be popping over to you and popping to everyone else. And so we are literally, scientifically, the atom that is in me could have been across the universe a second ago. How can we not be one?
Yeah. Exactly.
How can we not scientifically be one?
Yeah.
And as we have those psychological aspects of ourselves and those multidimensional parts of ourselves, we're starting to get like this micro grain of who we are, right? Of the wholeness.
Yep.
And as we start pulling those together in our own lives, and we start really starting within and moving out, we are shifting that for everyone around us in that next microbiome of our home and our friends and our work, and the next microbiome, our town, our city, our state, our country, our world, our galaxy, as all of that is the ripple, the echo,
Yep. Yep.
the
So
wave,
cool.
the wave, because it's all frequency. Frequency is a wave.
Yeah.
Wow. Kat, you were going to say something.
Yeah, well, one of the Josephine had asked if you have experienced lucid dreams, and I wanted to piggyback on that and I say, have you ever had lucid dreams about your past life, or what kind of lucid dream experiences have you had?
Yes, I mean the one where I had the 3 weeks of running the battles was very lucid.
Oh,
I was aware of who I was aware that I was watching this the entire time. It was like me watching a play out, and I was aware, I was conscious that I was watching it. I don't go on spaceships, I don't go on travel, I don't go on these different things, and yet, like I know I had a lucid dream after swimming with manatees and having this amazing experience with a manatee, where I completely telepathically connected with that manatee. And that manatee called to me in my dreams for some time afterwards, and we would go swim. We would swim together. Like I met her at her place, and that was in my dreams. And so yes, that is, and I don't always. There are long periods where I don't. And that's the other thing I think that we should maybe talk about is that things come and go, the ebb and flow of this.
Yeah.
That you know, when I watched last week's show, which is amazing if you haven't watched it, when I was watching last week's show, and Jillian was talking about how she was seeing the bright colors and the auras around trees, and it's like, oh, I've experienced that multiple times in my life. I didn't know that that's what that was, right? And then they've ebb and flow. So in a nanosecond, they can pop back and remind me that that's possible, and then go again, and then come again, and then go again. And I think it's our reminder of how amazing that is. And we want to stay there because it feels amazing, right? But we also are living here now.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I definitely have had lucid dreams since I was a child. My first one was when I had I think it was the Wolfman and Frankenstein, definitely Frankenstein, were chasing me. Every night they'd chase me, black
Ooh.
and white. And it was a dream I had over and over again. I told my mom, and she says, well, just turn around and tell them to stop. Didn't know you could do that. So the next night, as they're chasing me, I turned around and put my hands up, and, I'm a little tiny girl, and I said, stop it. And they kind of looked at me with this shock and didn't really know what to do. And all at once, these velvet red curtains came and closed the dream. And this old time sign came up and said, the end.
Oh, that's cool.
That was my first lucid dream.
That is super cool. Yet we have all these different things. We've got OBEs, we've got NDEs, we've got remote viewing, we've got lucid dreaming. I mean, it is such a plethora of experiences that we get to experience that teach us that there are so many other realities, so many other dimensions that we're conscious of, that our consciousness can ride within, and it speaks to our ability and
Yeah.
to who we truly are.
It is. And I think that was my coming out finally, was that is our natural state. Everyone has those abilities, but we suppress them consciously or unconsciously. We came into a world not remembering them for
Yeah.
the most part, or remembering them and then having them suppressed by family
Yeah.
and friends and being weird.
Programming.
And programming, right? And so if we allow those things to come up in whatever way they show up, what I'm really getting is they're showing up as assistance. So when you have those, yes, it's important to be analytical to some extent. I think it's important to look at, am I wanting to see that? Am I wanting to see that image in the trees? There's a psychological reason why people see faces in rocks, faces in everything. We're programmed to do that for survival. Is it that, or am I really seeing something, right? It's having that willingness to question what we're experiencing of something of our creation from here or something from our creation from here.
Can they be both?
Here. I think they can. I think, though, it's our perception of where are they coming from and what's the purpose behind them. And is it because we're willing it to be out of lack? I want it so much. I want to see that person so much because that person's not here. Is that person showing up, or is it because I'm creating that image of that person? Right?
But if you're creating that image, isn't that them too? Because you are a creator.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I'm throwing that
Because-
out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's what's kind of coming to my mind is it's like, it doesn't matter if we make it up because we're making it all up.
Right. We are making it all up.
Yeah.
We're making
Yeah.
it
So
all up.
are we making it up or are we making it up?
Well,
Well,
I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Kat.
It's where our creativity informs our intuition. They're not separate. They're connected. Our creativity, it fuels our intuition. They cohabitate together. And we just made up and created this whole show. And it's been beautiful. And we are at the top of the hour, and I know that people have got kids and appointments and restroom breaks and all kinds of things that need to happen. But this has been amazing. It has been a fantastic journey through grace into wisdom and from 3D to 5D. So I want to absolutely thank Miss Michele for taking on the hat of interviewer again. Thank you, Michele.
Thank you so much, you guys. I love you.
And we love you.
I just want to come on every week and just hang out.
I have a feeling you're going to be a reoccurring character. You'll be a reoccurring character on the comma dramedy that is Third Eye Salon.
The Rama comma drama.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever that word is. And then thank you, Miss Jillian, for always being this beautiful light and voice of insight and beauty. Thank you for being here with us.
No problem. I love spending my Saturdays here. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we've got people on the chat. I want to thank them as well. Thank you all the ladies who are on the chat. And if there's any gentlemen out there, I didn't see you, but thank you. Loved your interaction and your support, and they like to show up and be part of this too. So thank you. And then of course, finally, Ms. Lynda, thank you for coming on, switching spots and sharing your heart and your journey and your wisdom with us.
I want to thank everyone for giving me a safe place to be vulnerable, because real power is in our vulnerability. So
Absolutely true.
have this space and show my power through my vulnerability has been amazing. And I can't think of a better group of people to do this with. And that includes everybody at home. Thank you.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That's so lovely. Thank you. All right, everyone. We remind you that we have got links down in our description box below. We'd love to see you on our Facebook group. Elizabeth in our group is going to share some of her it was her lucid dream experiences, if I'm remembering right. I chatted about a lot of things, but Elizabeth is going to share some of those stories. So we invite you to come to our Facebook group where we have bigger discussions and connect with us heart to heart there. So otherwise, we will see you next week. Bless you. Thank you. Be kind to yourself. Be kinder to others. And as my phone says, it's at the top of the hour and we got to go. We love you. We'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. All right.